Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know why justice is best served cold?
Why is justice best served cold?
Because if it was served warm, it would be just water.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I didn't do it. I found out a
Well,
long time ago.
well,
But anyway,
but you did it on
I,
camera. No
something I
less.
did do. Yeah.
So justice,
Luke,
not the former Atlanta Braves baseball player.
I'll take your
You
word
don't.
for
Yeah,
it.
you didn't know that. That was when I was in college. David Justice was like the all-star. I mean, it's been a long time ago, but some of them remember. Some of them know.
Okay, I'll take your
Anyway,
word for it.
and
I mean, even if I lived during that time, I probably wouldn't know
no,
about it.
because you don't know any baseball players today.
No, probably not. I don't
Mhm.
know. Is Babe Ruth still alive? Like, only one I know.
Baby Ruths,
Yogi Berra.
Baby Ruths are still around, but Babe Ruth, no.
Yogi Berra.
I think he's been dead for 20 years now, and
Yeah.
he was like, I mean, oh wow.
Okay,
I
so
don't even remember when Yogi Berra was playing. I mean,
Yogi
Yogi
Berra's
Berra, that's the
wisdom,
guy who still picnic baskets in
like
Jellystone National Park.
some of his
All
quotes
right.
were really they were just like, man,
His quotes
he's a
were, yeah,
smart dumb man.
yeah, his
Um,
quotes were something.
okay, so today we're going to be talking about praying for justice and hopefully not too much more baseball.
And not too many more lame jokes.
That one walked. See, it's getting out of here right now.
Uh-huh.
Luke chapter
You
18,
said no more about
verses.
baseball, and then you talk about it walk. Anyway.
I said it's getting out of here. I didn't say how.
It's going,
Um,
gone. You said it walked. Anyway. All right.
Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8. And he told them a parable to the effect that they ought to always pray and not lose heart.
And that's important right now.
Yes, it is. Don't lose
give up.
heart.
Don't lose heart. It may seem like, I mean, we've been praying for peace and things for weeks, days at least. We've been praying for the virus to go away. We're praying, and sometimes it can be easy to give up and lose heart. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
He said, in a certain city there was a judge that neither feared God nor respected man. And there was a widow in that city who kept coming to him and saying, give me justice against my adversary. For a while he refused, but afterward he said to himself, though I neither fear God nor respect man, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will give her justice, so that she will not beat me down with her continual coming. And the Lord said, hear what the unrighteous judge says. And will not God give justice to his elect, who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long over them? I tell you, he will give justice to them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?
That's one of the saddest, scariest verses in the Bible to me. So yeah, I mean, wow. So Jesus tells a whole parable about praying about this justice situation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And one of the first things that I think we should see with this is he says close to the end that God will give justice to his people speedily. And one of the things we need to keep in mind with that is that God's time frame isn't always ours.
yeah, his definition of speedily. I remember in Revelation, the souls of those martyrs who had been martyred for the cause of Christ were asking, how long, O Lord, how long? Now remember, Revelation was written 1900 years ago.
Yes.
So God says, hey, hold on a little while longer. It's been 1900 years. It's been a little while longer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, God's idea of justice and speedily giving justice as far as the time frame isn't always what we think. We want it right now. But we think back to some of the times that, the children of Israel in Egypt were crying out for justice. And it was 200 years
Mm-hmm.
that they were there in Egypt before Moses came along to lead them out. We think about other times, the children in Babylonian captivity. They were there for 70 years. And we might say, well, that's not speedily, but it is speedily in God's terms, and He works things. And the other thing is, sometimes we have to learn the lesson, to learn what we need to learn before He can give us the gift that we need, that He wants us to have.
God always has a plan and a reason for whatever's happening to be happening.
Mm.
He may not have a direct, I am God and I have caused this to happen through my power. It may just be, this is the natural course of events. You did something bad's going to happen to you. This is how it works or whatever.
Mhm.
But that's still a part of the world that God has created. It's still a part of the plan that He has put into place.
Yeah, obviously,
And
every time somebody, jumps off a bridge and dies when they hit the ground,
mhm,
it's not like God specially did that. I mean, He made gravity, and gravity's there, and don't jump off of bridges or the tops of buildings. It'll kill you. So yeah, we need to.
and so the point of this is while you're waiting, I always I always like to think that since it all is a part of God's plan, and if things aren't happening the way we think they should be happening, then it's because we're missing something. It's not because God's too slow. It's not because anything on His side. It's because we're missing something. It's because He's trying to teach us patience or to have more trust in Him or faith in Him or something along those lines. And so when we're trying to get something, whether it's justice, whether it's anything really, and it's not happening, even though we are praying for it, we need to kind of look at things and be like, okay, what's going on here? What's
Yeah.
actually going on here?
Yeah,
Is He trying to teach me to wait? Is He trying to teach me patience? Is He trying to say, you shouldn't have that? Trust me a little bit more?
Yeah.
What's
The
He
other
trying to teach
question we
me?
have to ask ourselves too, especially in the area of justice, is notice He says He'll give justice to His elect who cry to Him. Am I living as one of His elect? Because not everyone who claims to be following God is. And sometimes we may fall into that trap of thinking that we are. The other thing we have to ask is, maybe He is giving justice. We forget sometimes what real justice really is. None of us really and truly want God's full justice, at least certainly not on us. We want His mercy.
Mm-hmm.
We want His grace. We want His forgiveness. We don't want His justice says, you've sinned against me, you deserve to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so His justice, full justice, would be detrimental to us.
Yeah.
And that's why, of course, we have to come to Christ so that we don't receive that justice. But then once we are His elect, and if people are mistreating us, then we can cry out to Him, and He will be there. But again, even that, when we think about, I think a lot about James and Peter. James was arrested by Herod, and he was beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
Peter was arrested by Herod. He was going to be executed, but God sent the angel to get him out of prison. Now we read that the people were praying, the Christians were praying for Peter to be released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think they weren't praying when James got arrested? Sure they were.
Do we think God was just too slow to get around to saving James?
Or did
That Peter had more time?
right? Or was he playing favorites? He liked Peter better than James? I mean, no, so sometimes what we don't realize is the ultimate justice of God, what works into His will ultimately, might not always be the thing we like to have happen to us personally.
And one of the things that really is kind of scary for a lot of us to think about when it comes to justice and really just the world in general is uh, I was watching for school, I had to watch a video series that was just describing the entire world as a story that God was telling because he spoke it into existence and everything. And one of the things close to the end was the guy was talking about how we as humans need to realize that in this story we aren't the main character.
Yeah.
God's the main character. And so in a story, who does the story work out well for? The main character.
Unless it's Romeo and Juliet.
Well, that's fair.
Or the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
In the majority of stories, who does it work out well?
The hero of the story is.
Yes, it works out well for the hero. And since God is the hero.
Especially when it's an autobiography. And the Bible is God's autobiography.
There you go. But since God is the hero, since God is the main character in this crazy, wacky story we call life, it's going to work out the way he wants it to work out.
Yeah.
And sometimes
he's not just the main character, he's also the author.
Yes. And so he can not only he's not only the main character, but since he is also the author, he can write it the way he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And since we aren't the main character,
and we don't have editing privileges.
That means that sometimes it is advantageous to the storyline for one of us to die.
Yeah. And more than that, too, I mean, we don't have a full picture of justice.
Yes.
We don't realize everything that's involved.
Mm-hmm. We don't know everything that was going on in the other person's head. We don't know entirely their motive, their background, why they did what they did.
Yeah, we don't know their past. And we also don't know what the future could hold.
Exactly.
What would have happened if? We don't know. God knows those things.
I read a story a while back about how someone was trying to convert their neighbor to Christianity, and they're trying again and again, and just no headway was being made. And then the guy's daughter died, was murdered basically, and his entire family kept their faith through that time.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, the neighbor was able to look at their family and say, now I know you've got something real.
He was able to actually see.
But the father's daughter had to die in order for that change to take place. God knows things like that. God knows how things will affect people. He knows that if this person dies, these people will come to me. And if this person does bad, then this can happen to straighten their life back out. God knows all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he can work the worst things, such as someone's death, into the justice and beauty of his story and his picture. And we just have to keep in mind, it's his.
But don't quit asking just because of that.
No.
Because we don't know, like Jesus tells us, you keep asking him. You keep coming to him and asking him to work these things out. And he will do what is right.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things Abraham asked. Will not the judge of all the world do what is right? Yes, he will. He will, but we need to keep coming to him and talking.
Just like we've been looking at with Moses, going back to the story illustration, even the minor characters can have a lot of influence over the main character in a story. Moses, in the grand scheme of things, as much as he did, was still only one person, and because of that, all in all, kind of a minor character, especially when you compare him to God. But yet, the boldness that he had.
Yeah, he was an important character to all those hundreds of thousands of Israelites.
The ability that he had several times to be able to change God's mind from destroying all of the Israelites with just a prayer.
Prayer is certainly a powerful thing.
Mhm.
And again, though, like we've talked about before, we have to do our part.
Yeah.
We cannot pray for God to bring justice and then ourselves continue to live in a way and treat others in a way that is unjust.
Yeah.
Because if we do that, then when he does bring justice, we're going to be on the wrong side. We'll be in the defense table instead of the prosecutor's table. And we're going to be in a bad spot if we continue to live an unjust life. So we need to make sure we're living a life of justice and asking God to bring the justice into the lives that are touching ours as well.
If this one was helpful,
Shockingly, another big topic
yeah.
that we scratched the surface of.
Another big topic. Always, always.
Good to see you. Hope it was helpful.
Mm-hmm. And hope you'll be back tomorrow for another prayer in the Bible.
And share these and subscribe to the page and comment. If there's a topic or a prayer that you'd like to see us talk about, if maybe we missed one. I mean, it's very possible that we missed one along
the Bible's a big book.
It is. And, we've got our list, but if we miss one and that you think we should talk about, comment or send us a message.
Even if we haven't gotten to it yet, don't be afraid to be like,
Yeah,
hey, can y'all
I can't
talk
wait
about
to hear
this?
about this one, Yeah, for sure. We want your input. It helps our channel, and it helps us to know what you're getting out of these or not getting out of them, as the case may be, and to see what interests you the most. So we better let this one go.
Yeah. Hope to see y'all tomorrow.
Take care.